Hey VC, it's Tim. So this video, about a month ago, Brian from Cosmic Vinyl gave me a shout out. So I wanted to thank him for that and do a response video and show. I thought it was a good opportunity to show some of my favorite psych music. Yeah, I figured Brian would be into that, seeing that his channel's name is Cosmic Vinyl. But anyways, since Brian doesn't always show records right away, I was gonna show some paintings that I made in response to the coronavirus. So this first one is self-portrait in a mask. And then, yeah, you can see the little coronavirus right there. I can do a close-up of that. And then the second one here is self-portrait in a mask at night. So, yeah, those are some paintings I just did. Anyways, starting off with the records here, these are my favorite psych albums that I have so far. This first one is what I have playing right now is CA Quintet, Trip Through Hell, their only album. This is a 2016 Sunday's reissue. This album came out in 1969. And yeah, this is a really good album. Like, definitely, in my opinion, probably like one of the best psych albums ever made. It's got like a Heavy Doors influence, but it also has like kind of an amateur feel, which is really cool, and definitely super psychedelic with the organ and kind of the spaced out guitar and thumping bass. And yeah, I really like the Trip Through Hell theme that runs throughout this album. So yeah, everything is really psychedelic about this album. The instrumentation, the lyrics, the delivery of the vocals, the background vocals, just the way it's recorded is like really good. So yeah, anyways, these guys are from Minnesota, and I found out that the reason their name was CA Quintet is because they had like a gig at a local place in somewhere in Minnesota, and it was basically just an advertising ploy. They did it so that people would see it and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna see a quintet." So yeah, you'd think there'd be a little bit more behind the name, but that's it. So there's that one. Second album is the United States of America, their only album that came out in 1968. And this is another Sunday's reissue. I've seen this album in record stores 3 different times, and each time it was in someone else's hands. So yeah, I just bought a reissue just because I wanted this album so bad. This was one of the first psych albums that I heard that just like totally blew me away, and was like, wow. It made me realize that there's like way more out there other than like the 60s stuff that you hear on the radio. So this album really like started my exploration of psych music. And yeah, so I don't know if I'll ever get an original just because I already got this one. And I mean, if I find one for cheap, I'll do it, but I don't think I'll pay 20 or 30 bucks for it. But yeah, there's that album. Oh yeah, the only one of the best electronic psych albums. One of the best psych albums without guitar. All right, and then the next album is Ultimate Spinache's third album, Behold and See. I think their first this is their second album. I think their first album is like a little bit better all around because it's like more psychedelic. But this has my favorite song of theirs, the track 2 on side 1, Visions of Your Reality. I really like the Dylan-esque vocal and just feel of the whole song in general. And another cool thing about this album is like a lot of the jazzy jams that happen in between it. So yeah, I checked this one out if you haven't seen it already. Alright, next is Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermint. This album came out in 1967. It's on the Uni label. And this is one of those bands that I've known about for a long time because I grew up listening to oldies radio, and the song Incense and Peppermint was like on the radio all the time, and it was actually a song that I didn't like that much. But then like once I started to get back into psych and discovered this album, heard this album, I really like that song, but this is just overall a really good album in general, just because it has like a lot of elements of like psychedelia and elements of like pop psych, which is something that I'm really into right now. And yeah, this is a great album for like springtime or summer in general. So yeah, on the Uni label, and I'll show the label just because it's my favorite. One of my favorite labels from the psych era. So yeah, there's that. Alright, and next is Solemn Sinclair and the Mother Bear. This album came out in 1968, and it's on Cadet Records, which was a subsidiary of Chess Records. And yeah, this is a really cool album. It's kind of like Jefferson Airplane. Side 1 is a lot like Jefferson Airplane, and then side 2 is Jefferson Airplane, like really funky, and there's like some drum and bass breaks and like some kind of spoken word and like some, a lot of like kind of hippie lyrics talking about like, smoking weed and stuff like that. So this is definitely like really cool from the timepiece, and it's pretty cheap too. It's only like $8, and I'll show the label on that because I really like the label of that too. So there you go. All right, and then the next one is Pearls Before Swine. Let's see, I'm kind of tripping up my words out. I think just had a little bit of cotton mouth. Anyways, so yeah, the cover has a detail of the Hieronymus Bosch painting. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Anyways, so yeah, this is a really good folk psych album, and what's funny is at first it's a little off-putting because the guy has a lisp in his singing voice, but the melody and the songwriting of this album is just really strong, and it's just definitely a good album overall. There's like not a bad song on here. So yeah, and this one came out in 1967 on the ESP disc label, which was out of New York, and they had a lot of free jazz acts on their label, and these guys were on their label too. So anyways, I'll show the disc on that. I don't know, I think this is I don't think this is a first press, but there's like a lot of weird presses of this album, but it does say ESP disc. on there, and that's a cool pig graphic, so yeah, I'll take that. Last, what I have is one of my favorite pop psych albums is the Four Seasons Genuine Imitation Life Gazette, and I just think that this album is incredible. Like I said, I grew up a lot on oldies radio, and this, I don't know, I think Frankie Valli's on this, I'm not for certain. But anyways, it's got the falsetto and the harmonies that the Four Seasons have in their other songs, such as Ragdoll or like Walk Like a Man, and I really just love those songs because of the melody and harmonies that they produce. And this is just exactly like that, and I wouldn't even exactly say that this is a psych album just because there's like so much pop elements of it, but there is like kind of like psych lyrics and psych themes, but it blends it with the Four Seasons regular, like, you know, boy meets girl and just kind of like hardships of life kind of thing. And I just think it's a really enjoyable album, and definitely probably one of my favorites with the whole springtime and summertime coming up. I think pop psych is just a great thing to listen to when the sun comes out, especially in Wisconsin here. We don't, you know, like today it was raining all day, but the weather's always different here. So some days it can be like warm and hot in a row. I mean, we've had 2 days of warm weather, and then lately it's been in about the 50s or 60s. So anyways, yeah, this came with the paper in it, and just kind of like a spoof on like a regular paper, but talking about real hippie stuff and protests. And here's the comics page. I was just reading this. This is really funny stuff. There's a Felix the Cat kind of thing where, oh yeah, right there. And there's the hippie smoking a joint. So yeah, those are some of my favorite psych albums. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.